Hi, my name is Claire and I really like to knit. If you're new here, welcome. My vlogs usually take you from the beginning of a project right to the end. I like to show you how I cast on, how I choose my yarns, the issues that inevitably comes up during a knit, and then the finished project. So if you want to see how I created this beautiful cardigan from my favorite store-bought cardigan, keep watching. Now there's a project I have wanted to make for a long time. I'm still in the middle of making a complicated lace dress, which is going to take me a while. So of course I go and start another project. This one's quite chunky and I think I'm going to go through really quickly. I want to also show a tutorial on how I created a pattern from a ready-made garment. So the cardigan I'm making today is this beautiful alpaca Skellen and Theodore cardigan. It belongs to my mum and I really liked it. I like it. Every time she wears it, I just think it looks really classy and really comfortable and cozy. Skellen and Theodore is an Australian fashion brand. Their clothes are not very cheap, but it's very simple and classy. I have many of their pieces that I bought when I was working. Now that I'm not working, I'm not going to buy so many because they are not cheap. However, this cardigan is just amazing. She bought it a couple of years ago and it's so popular they've brought it back again and again. I think this is the third season they've brought it back and this time in many more colors. Now the cardigans, I think it's about $300. So I've decided I'm going to knit one myself, which is probably going to end up costing more, but you know, it's going to be knitted by me. It's very simple kind of stitch, very loose gauge, and I thought I would just measure it so I can copy the pattern exactly. But first let me show you the cardigan. Okay, this is what the cardigan looks like. Very simple drop shoulder, right? Very simple. There's a big safety pin here, and in the fashion show, what do you call it? In how they've put it on the website, this is how you wear it. You just put this corner through the safety pin. Very modern and classic and lovely. And it is made with 45% wool, 30% alpaca, 25% polyamide. So it's really nice and fluffy, peels a lot. I just tried to depeel it last night and there is still so much fluffy balls. The yarn I'm going to use is this cute fluffy thing from woollyyarns.com, of course, my favorite website, woollyyarns.com. This color is called Almost Mauve. It's like white, but with lots of speckles of pink, orange, and blue. It is 56% merino, 28% cashmere, 6% viscose, and 10% poly. So it's actually a nicer fabric than this. There is no alpaca content, so hopefully it won't peel as much, and it just looks lovely. Next, I'm going to show you how I have mapped out the construction of this cardigan to start work. So the first thing I did was to measure the gauge of the jumper, because if the gauge is correct, then I can just count the stitches and I don't have to do any calculations, you know, or adjustments. And when I measured it last night, it was 15 stitches to every 10 centimeters. And of course I did a swatch with this last night very quickly, only like that much, and it was 15 and a half, 16. Probably would have been more accurate if I did more, but you know, I was pretty impatient to start. I think 15 and a half would be close enough. And then what I did was start to look at the construction of this jumper. The construction of the jumper is pretty simple. I can tell it's got one of those very popular Norwegian shoulders where the back piece is sloped down. What you then do is pick up the front piece on the front and knit it all the way down to below the armhole, and then what I'll do is join it in the round. What I'll do is firstly knit the back piece. I'll do cast on this amount and then do increases all the way down. Then what I'll do is cast on the middle of the neckline, work 6.5 centimeters, and then at the same time pick up these stitches on the shoulder here and then start working back and forth until we reach the armhole. Then I'll do that side, picking up from here, knit 6.5 centimeters of neckband, pick up this the front piece from the back seam here and then knit down. Right at the end, I will then join the neckband to the top of the back piece. Yeah. Then once the front and the back are done up to the armhole, I'll join it together and then knit it to the end with some ribbing. The sleeves, I also had a look. It is picked up. So the shape is quite interesting. There's a lot more in the front than the back. I haven't thought about this properly because this jumper is actually made from the bottom up. So I've been trying to figure out how to change it to top down. I haven't come up with a solution for the sleeves yet because when do I pick up these two seams? Anyway, let me think about it while I work on the body. If I can't figure it out, I'll just start from the bottom, create the shaping according to how this is made, and then sew it on. And then let me just show you the front. So the neck and the front panel has a 17 stitch panel. I think this is the fisherman's rib where the back every second stitch is slipped. It gives you a really nice and thicker feel, and it holds shape better. I'll be measuring as I go just to make sure that it does not become too loose. We're now going to look at what I drawn up last night. So I took some photos of the jumper and then measured on top of it. I think that makes it so much easier. So the numbers are the centimeters, and then the numbers in the brackets are the number of stitches. So from here to here, I'll be casting on 17 stitches. There are increases here. I'm going to do them every single row times 24 times on each side. And I'm going to do that within 2 stitches. You can see here, 2 stitches. Once I get to this part here, it's 40 centimeters and 65 stitches. Then there are some decreases here. I guess it gives you a nice shoulder shape. And then another 4 row, we go back to increases again for armhole. And that is every single row times 10 times. Once that's done, we add 3 stitches for under the armhole. Next, if we look at the full back, it just gives me some numbers while I'm knitting just to make sure that's correct. From the top of the neck to the slope of the shoulder is 7 centimeters. From the slope of the shoulder to the armhole is 13. I want to make sure that's correct. Then we've got the front piece. Quite a lot going on. I've got decreases here. Once we get to the bottom, it'll be 45 stitches plus the ribbing in the front here. Yeah, I think that's clear as mud-ish. These are my sleeve measurements, just the final measurements. I feel like Mum's altered it because when I look inside, there's a lot of bulk in there. I think she reduced the sleeve width and the length too. But it's a perfect fit for me because we are like almost the same size. All right, and then here, you can see when I was doing measurements, I put lots of stitch markers in just to find just to identify all the decreases and increases. Makes it a lot easier. So the sleeve, I had worked out the increases and decreases, but yeah, I'm still got to think about how we deal with the pickups. So let's talk about that later. Don't mind my messy desk, but what do you know? As soon as I cast on, I've made a mistake and it's time to rip it out. This is the top of my back piece. So I measured 17 stitches and that's what I did. I did 17 and started doing my increases. Luckily, I only got this far before I realized if I'm going to be picking up the front piece, I need an extra stitch for that front piece to hook onto. And I didn't account for that, so I should have been casting on 2 more stitches. It's okay, there's only a few stitches. Now I just have to remember, for every piece that contains where you have to join or where you have to join, I have to add an extra stitch to allow for that. We have a major issue. I finished the back piece, the top of the back piece, and that looks great. Yeah, so that's the cast on. I've done my increases up to the shoulders, did a bit of decreases here to shape the back, and then increases again for the armhole. And I put it on top of my brown cardigan and it fits perfectly. So now I was about to do the neckband to pick up the front, right? And looking at the pattern, it's a fisherman's rib or a half brioche. I've done lots of brioche, it's no problem, but it is huge. Look at how big it is. But maybe my ribbing tension is too loose compared to a machine knit. This is what it's supposed to look like. these stitches are the half fisherman's rib, as you can see from the back. Mine is, I don't know, this is about 7 centimeters. Mine is at least 10. Yep, just measured it, it's at least 10. And it looks so loose. There's no way this will match this gauge. Way bigger. What do I do? I'm back from lunch and I have done some swatches on this ribbing to try and make it fit. My current stitch gauge. You can see I've done lots of different types of stitching. So let me show you. First one here, that is the half brioche that I did initially. You can see how loose that is and just looks really cute, but definitely not a neck ribbing kind of panel. The next one I did was just a normal rib, just this little part here. Normal rib looks great. However, I know my gauge for ribbing is much looser than my stocking stitch. So if I'm putting these side by side, knitting back and forth, my button band is going to be much longer than the body of the jumper. And this has happened to me several times. The next part I knit, this beautiful part, this part is actually perfect. However, this is double knitting. That means on the right side, I slip all the purl stitches, and then on the right side, I knit and slip all the purl stitches again. So it looks amazing. It's a beautiful double fabric. However, the row count will be half of a normal stocking stitch. That means it's going to be half the size, and then that button band will be too short. Lastly, I went back to a slip stitch, half slip stitch. That means on the right side, all the purls are slipped, and then on the wrong side, everything's done. So on the wrong side, you can see elongated knit stitches. And I think this is what the original band was. I did start like this, but my gauge was all over the place. Like you can see, it just looks sloppy. That's this segment here. It just looks sloppy. That's why I went to the half brioche, hoping that it would be tidier. You can see I've done about 6 centimeters, but it still looks sloppy. However, this is the right gauge. It's the right width and the right row count. I think I'm just going to have to practice on this to make sure it doesn't look sloppy. And I still haven't figured out why it looks horrible yet. And another thing is, because of the slip stitches, you can see every second row, the stitches are a lot smaller. I think it's because when I knit the slip stitches, it pulls it up, therefore pulling a row of the knit stitches. So I got a row of fat stitches and then a row of little stitches. Yeah, I think the gauge is already better now that I've been knitting a few rows, but that's the way it's going to be. And so I just now rip this out and cast on again and start that band. Making 6.5 centimeter of the neck ribbing here. You can see it's quite a bit wider than the sample. The sample is up to here, mine is up to here, including this one is for sewing. So there's about 1 centimeter wider, which may be okay because that's just going to sit in the front of the neck. It doesn't contribute to the total body size much. I think my gauge is just a little bit loose. But I think we are now at this part here, so I'm going to now pick up the back piece. So I've done my back piece, so I'm going to start picking up here to do the left front piece. So you can see this is the back of the neckline. This is the top of my back neck band. It will sit here, center back seam there, and then I will pick up to the other side after. So for the time being, I have marked from this distance to there, I'm going to be picking up 24 stitches, well, plus 25 to allow for a seam allowance. What I'm going to do is pick up the first stitch and then slip this one onto it. That's because I won't need this line, which is the sewing line for the back of the collar. I won't need that anymore, so I'll just reduce that stitch, and I think that'll make that corner a bit tighter and nicer too. Yesterday I finished the left front piece and I was so proud of myself. Here we go. So this is the back piece, and yesterday I started the neckline and picked up the left front, and looks like this. I've marked all the increases and decreases that I thought I should be doing. And after I cut off the yarn and put it on a piece of scrap yarn, I had a look at it, and this looks a little bit short. So I put it against my sample piece. Yep, it's definitely too short by that much. So I had another very close look at this sample jumper, and I realized I had miscounted some of the rows. For example, the 3 decreases that are here in the front, I put every 4 rows, but it's actually every 6. And then there's a bunch of stocking net stitch here. It was supposed to be 10 and I did 8. Some of the increases here are every 2 rows instead of every 1 row. Therefore, this piece is a little bit shorter. So back to unpicking. So I have to unpick all the way up to here, which is almost at the beginning, which got me thinking maybe I will just start the whole thing again, or starting with the right side and practice my half slip stitch. You can see my half slip stitch is still very, very uneven. Some parts are very even and some parts are uneven, and I still haven't figured out why. Why can I do some of them so nicely and some of them not? Yeah, but otherwise, you know, the yarn is beautiful. I really like it. It looks so cute. I wouldn't call it a mauve, but yeah, super duper cute. I think it's a blowing yarn. It's got lots of fibers kind of felted into a tube. You can't even see the tube. And all the colored bits, some are dyed in the wool and some are little nubs. Like there's a little bit of yellow nub here, a bit of blue nub here. So they're really cute. Yeah, great texture, just very, very interesting fabric. I can't wait to wear it once it's done. But before I start on this piece again, I'm going to see the physiotherapist, because when I sit down for too long and knit too much, my shoulder has been hurting a lot. Sometimes it goes down to my elbow, sometimes in the back of my right hip. At the gym, I usually do hot Pilates classes, so it's a heated room and you do mat Pilates, sometimes with soft weights. So very basic stuff. But the goal of that is to tighten my core and to strengthen my arms and shoulders. This way I can knit more. Yay! And then after the physio, I'm going to go back to the shopping center, have lunch with my mother-in-law. She's going back to Hong Kong today. That means I'm going to have to go back to being a good housewife again and start doing some more cooking and cleaning. Not to my forte, unfortunately, but it's going to be done. Last night I did a restart and I started making the right front. Here we go. You can see this was the left front. That was too short, and this is the right front. I have made a small adjustment. I made the neck band 2 stitches smaller because this was just a little bit too wide, so that looks a lot more reasonable. And I've also been practicing my tension on this half slip rib. And look, the tension here was great, and then it somehow went back to being lumpy again. And I haven't worked out what I was doing differently. I thought I was knitting exactly the same. So I don't know why the tension here was good and then here is not so good, but I'm slowly paying more attention, trying to watch less TV while I'm doing this so I can really focus on this. Otherwise, I have made adjustments to not make the mistake I did last time. I think it looks really good. Can't wait to keep going and try it on. I just want to point out the clever design of this cardigan. On the left and right side, front and back, from the shoulder to just underneath the armpit, just before the armpit, there are some decreases. If you have made drop shoulder garments before, you'll have noticed there's always a bit of a fold here, right? It doesn't happen so much with raglan or setting sleeves, but drop shoulder always happens. That's because there is no armhole shaping. So when you put your arm down, similar to this one, but this is supposed to be puffy, but you know, with your drop shoulder, put your arm down, there's always a lump here in the front and the back. So the decreases here with this design will help to reduce that, just to make it sit more flat and look a bit more and look better planned and better designed. I think I'll incorporate this into any other future drop shoulder projects. It's Saturday morning. We're gonna go to the hairdressers, clean up the mop that's on my teenage son's head. He's been avoiding getting a haircut for quite a few weeks now and looks awful. Now he's hunched over his cereal bowl, looking at his phone with his mop of hair. Very teenagery. Sit up straight. Sit up straight. When I come back from the haircut, we'll knit more. Also, I went to the physio yesterday and to look at my really tight neck and back muscles. He did agree my muscles were very, very tight, and he loosened it up and it felt amazing for a few hours. I was like, whoa, look at my neck, like free range. However, a couple of hours later, it was back to being stiff again. So I think I just need to take more breaks and stretches in between all of my knitting so that I don't get frozen shoulder or anything like that when I get older. Okay, I have finished the right front piece up to the armhole. Now I just need to cast on 3 stitches for here and putting it against my sample. It is perfect. Yay. And I think my tension here is slowly improving. You can see this is better than there. That's a bit wonky. Every second row is a bit tight. That was the slip stitch. And now mine is heaps better because I have figured out to make every second row a little bit looser. So when I do a slip stitch, it doesn't pull on the yarn too much. And now I will unpick this piece so I can redo it.
Charlie Brown, I can tell you what Christmas is all about. Lights, please.
You suck.
They were so afraid, and the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you tidings of great joy.
So I've lost my recording mojo for a while and I haven't recorded for a few days. But here I am, I'm back. But let me show you my progress. I have finished the body and the first sleeve. It's currently just tacked on and I tried it on for you, which I'll show you here. It's progressing along really nicely. When I finished the body, I decided just to use the 5mm needle to continue with the ribbing. I tried to do some gauge swatches with a smaller needle, 4mm, which looks nice, but I have to increase a lot of stitches. And to be honest, I couldn't be bothered doing the calculations. So I just did a normal ribbing with 5.5 because I know I want it to be pretty straight anyway, and my gauge is pretty even with my ribbing. The only thing I didn't account for was I continued the half slip stitch ribbing all the way through the front opening, which I thought would look nice as continuity. However, as you can see when I tried it on, the front is pulling a little bit because the row gauge for a half slip stitch is a bit shorter than my normal ribbing. So something I didn't think about or anticipate. The front is pulling. When I block it, I will try and pull it, and hopefully it won't be too obvious. With the sleeve, I did end up doing it just from the bottom up. I went back to my sample jumper here. Went to my sample jumper, did some more careful counting, and I counted all the decreases on the armhole, and I just did them exactly as the sample. So that's done now, and I'm doing the second sleeve. Once the second sleeve is done, I'll be calling Mum to come and help me attach the sleeves as usual, because she never likes the way I attach sleeves. Get her to help me attach the sleeves, attach the back, and then I'm all done. Still got heaps of yarn left, so I may even be able to make a beanie or something out of it, but I am loving it and loving the progress. So the rest of the day, I will work on the sleeve. Being such a loose gauge, it's going to be pretty quick. The first sleeve, I did it in one day yesterday, so I think I will be able to finish the second sleeve today. So much yarn left. Tomorrow is World Knitting Public Day, so we are going to our local yarn store and knit there, and hopefully there's a big turn up. We'll see. This is Brisbane, there's not that many people around, and definitely not that many knitters around, so we'll go and hang out with the local yarn store and make some friends maybe. Just before, my hubby and I also went out for a quick lunch date. I'll insert a footage here. Is I actually saw it on Instagram. It's a new Japanese cafe that specializes in matcha lattes with a bit of strawberry, like a strawberry matcha latte. And the Instagram was pretty funny and looked like a lot of fun. So we went to check it out, and it tasted okay. It was very creamy. It's a lot of dairy. We don't usually eat that much dairy. But presentation, I'll give it 5 out of 5. And taste, maybe 3.5 out of 5. It tastes fine, but the presentation was raising the expectation quite a bit. The Japanese cafe was funnily located inside a pharmacy, and this pharmacy, actually my husband's friend is a partner in this pharmacy, and they sell lottery tickets, they sell groceries, they sell crypto as well. It's just such an insane place, and they have a cafe inside. Oh, and they also have doctors inside who does mole removal. So yep, they're definitely going for a one-stop shop, and I've never been to a pharmacy like that before. Interesting fact, which I've never talked about before, I used to be a pharmacist for about 3 to 4 years, and I didn't enjoy being a pharmacist. So one day I just walked out and said, nah, that's it. I don't want to be a pharmacist anymore. So now I have been a pharmacist, I've been a tailoring shop business owner, and next, what's next? I don't know yet. We will see where the universe takes me.
In his class student, learning how to do row by row. Little yarn store.
It's all done. I finished it yesterday and I put it out to dry, but it took ages. I was very surprised how long it took for this jumper to dry. I thought this yarn would be pretty quick, but it's actually a lot denser than I thought. I don't think it's a blown yarn. I'm not sure how it's made. It shed quite a bit when I was knitting with it, but it doesn't seem to be shedding as much now, which is great. But I love it. I love it. Look at it. It's so warm. It's just the right amount of oversize because I'm quite short and I don't like things that are too oversized because it just makes me look even shorter and wider. But I think this is just the right amount. It's just so cozy. The yarn is lovely. Of course, the design is beautiful. I'm really glad I made it. Mum, of course, helped me finish the sleeves. It's a little bit lumpy. I think when I cast off, maybe it's a little bit too abrupt. I'll give it a steam and hopefully it's less lumpy here, but I think it still looks great. Really love the little nubs of color in this yarn here. I haven't bought a big safety pin yet because in the original design, they have a big safety pin and you pull one corner of the jumper through it, like that kind of look. But I haven't got one yet, so I just stole this little gold attachment thing from another one of my jumpers for now, which also looks really great. Doesn't it look more expensive already? In the end, I didn't do any modifications except for the ribbing. I didn't use a smaller needle for the ribbing on the sleeves and hem because I was too lazy to do calculations and add stitches. So I just went straight down. Everything else, I went exactly according to the original design, stitch by stitch. And it looks great. I've learned so much from knitting this jumper and I really like this and I think I'm going to wear this all the time. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe and follow along because I'm more than 50% done with my next project already. So the next video won't be too far long. See you next time.